Okay, this is a sound check. Can anybody hear me? How are we sounding right now? Who can hear me? Hello? Who can hear me? All right, thank you. Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Agape Love. All right, well, we're going to be ready to go here in about 3 minutes. Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out to my live. If the sound gets a little funny, shoot me something in the chat and I'll adjust it. I think I got it. I don't have really a bunch of media today to mess up on us. I think we're ready to go. All right. All right, Steve. The sound is too low. Okay, let me try to turn up a little bit. All right, how about that, Steve? I turned it up a little bit. Does it sound louder? Oh, okay. I can turn it up a little bit more, but I don't want to start echoing. But anyway, I think we can go ahead and get started. If you want to, you can open a copy of the Kohberger PSA and follow along if you want to. All right, it's good to see everybody. I have some ground to cover, and so once I get started on each point, I'll take a break between points, but I have 3 points that I need to address, and then we'll talk about anything you want to talk about that I haven't talked about yet. Did that make sense? Okay. All right, this live is about what's going on in Mayberry. All right, I'm taking down the like, share, and subscribe sign, but make sure that you hit the like button, the share button, the notify, whatever we're supposed to say at the beginning, that part. Okay, if anybody would like to donate, my donation information is on my community page. I'm not going to post all that here, okay, because this is our live. Any contributions are strictly donations, and that information is on my community page. I put it on there before every live, okay? So let's get started. I'm going to put my first point here. And once I get started, I'll be looking for your responses to make sure everybody's keeping up. The title of this live is What's Going On in Mayberry. That's the name of this live. That's the real name of it. All right. So this is point 1. And point 1 is that Opie is trying to be very slick in the PCA regarding these phone pings. And so you really have to listen to what I'm saying, follow along with me. It's not that long, and then you'll see what I'm saying, okay? And so let me minimize a couple things here, and we'll get started. All right, Lori, I got it for you today. Just follow with me, and every once in a while I get a little too caught up. I'll look in the chat and see if somebody had a question or whatever, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, the first thing you need to understand is that Opie had 2 two search warrants for AT&T. The first one was for November the 13th between 3 and 5. Okay, it sounds like I'm repeating myself in my videos, but that's not what this is. You have to follow me, okay? Now, this is only for GPS coordinates only. Okay, when he asked for this on the 16th of November, he did not have Brian Kohberger's phone, nor did he nor was he aware of Brian Kohberger's phone number. This was just a dragnet to see who was there, and it was pretty much for every phone company. That's all they could do. Okay, and that's reasonable. That's reasonable. That's what they should have done. All right. Now, this is from the PCA talking about the search warrant for AT&T for December the 23rd. Now, this search warrant is for his actual phone records. Okay, this is the second one. And this one is with knowledge of Brian Kohberger's phone number. It's asking specifically for his phone records. All right? And so here it says he applied for and granted a search warrant for historical phone records. This is where he starts trying to be slick, just off the rip. Okay? All records that you ask for, if it's not in real time, it's historical. Okay? Let's say today is November the 16th. If I ask for the stock price for Ford for November the 13th and the 14th, it's historical data because it already happened. Any data that you ask for a period that has already passed is historical data. So he really didn't need to put this word historical in there. All right? And so he's setting you up because after a while, historical phone records is going to turn into historical CSLI records, which is another lie. But I'm just pointing out here at the beginning, okay, that he was granted a search warrant for phone records, and all records is not real time and historical. So that's nothing special, but he put historical in there for a reason. Now let's look at the second paragraph down here because there are several PCA versions, okay, and they all pretty much try to say the same thing, but a few things are different. Now on this second paragraph, it says on December 23rd, pursuant to that search warrant, okay, I received records for 8458. He didn't say historical records because there's no need to say historical records. All right? But later on down in this paragraph, he's going to say historical cell site location. So he didn't want to have historical and then the whole thing in the same paragraph. Okay, the second sentence says, these records indicated that the 8458 phone is subscribed to Brian Kohberger at address blah, blah, blah since June 23rd. Fine, AT&T told him that. Okay? Right. Agape Love said, funny that's the only phone number from a geofence warrant for that area at that time with everything going on that weekend in that town. Okay, now this is not the only subpoena for cell phone records, but it definitely was for that only for that area. You're right. I said that too. The first search warrant should have been for more than half a mile circumference or radius. It should have been for more than half a mile radius going around that circle. I said that too, Agape Love. All right, so now he's getting into his deception. He already conditioned you with historical in the first one. Now he's saying these records also included historical cell site location information for the phone. That's not true. He did not have CSLI information. All he had was historical phone records. There's a difference between historical phone records, which is any records that happened before right now, and historical cell site location information, CSLI records. There's a difference between those two. Steve said, Opie is Horan von der Sloot. Whatever that is, it does not sound good. Okay, we need a translator, Steve. Okay, translation, please. All right, let me keep going. All right. So, all right. Now, There's no mention of a CSLI warrant in the 1213. The only thing that and in the 1223, the only thing he asked for, this is an excerpt from the December 23rd warrant. The only thing he asked for AT&T records for that 48 hours. And number 8 says, location information can be in the form of historical records. All information is going to be in the form of historical records because all of it already happened. He's just sticking this historical in there so he can pretend like it's historical CSLIT later on. That's the only reason he put that in here. Okay, because he didn't have CSLT whatever. He didn't have it. He didn't have it. And if he had it, he didn't get it legally, and I'm going to prove it. Okay, so in the 23rd, you can look at the AT&T. I challenge you to look at the AT&T warrant for the 23rd. And there is no mention of the word historic. There's no mention of historical cell site location information in the AT&T warrant at all, period. If you put, there's no CSLI in that warrant, period. This is the only mention of the word historical in that warrant. It's the only one, CSLI. Let me put that in the chat. Let me slow down a little bit because you got to understand what I'm saying. There's a difference between saying historical records and historical CSLI. There's a difference, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay, one is with tracking. That's the difference. Okay? If I just ask for your phone records, it's just gonna tell me who you called and who you texted and stuff. It's just gonna give me the basics of your phone records. But if I do a forensic, investigation of your phone, that's something totally different. Okay? Just asking for your phone records for 2 days, just gonna tell me who you called. It might give a little GPS, I don't know. But it's not the same thing at all as doing a forensic. Okay, we're getting to that, Hiroshima. We're getting to that. I just want you to understand the difference. Okay, we're getting to that. And then in this same paragraph, it says real-time root tool. It's no reason to put real-time in here because there's no real-time information available. I mean, if you using real time in December, it's to track his phone right now, what he's doing in December. But you couldn't apply that to any information in November because that's historical. Okay, they call it perspective. Real time, they call it perspective. And then the historical is if it already happened and you just asking for the records for something that already happened. So now he's in the AT&T warrant. He's saying historical records. He didn't say CSLIT because that takes a different type of consideration from the judge. And I'm going to show you. All right? I'm going to show you. All right? All he has is historical records. Now let's move to the next one. Because he's already talking about forensic. And I'm going to show you. Now, look at this paragraph. In December 23rd, pursuant to that search warrant, I received records for the phone. The records indicated it was Brian's, blah, blah, blah. These records also include historical cell site location. Now, all of a sudden, he's saying the records I got on the 23rd are not just historical records. They contain CSLI information. That's not true. All he had was historical records. He did not have CSLI. And for those who say, well, maybe he did, I'm going to prove it. But I'm going to put in the chat. I challenge you to find in the AT&T warrant for the 23rd, I challenge you to find the words historical cell site location information. Or I challenge you to find CSLI in the 23rd warrant. I challenge you to find it. I challenge you. It's not in there. He didn't ask for forensic cell information. But really, it's not going to matter because I'm going to show you how slick he tried to be, but not slick enough. All right? Okay. Now, After he tells you that he had CSLI information, he says after receiving this information, all he received was phone records. He didn't get CSLI. I consulted with the FBI Special Agent, SA, that is certified as a member of the Cellular Analysis Survey Team, CAS. This sounds very prestigious. Okay? He consulted with the FBI, but what he didn't do was submit cell phone data to the FBI. He consulted with them. All right. Okay, we can get started now. Robin decided to show up at the party. All right, I'm gonna blow my trumpet because Robin showed up to the party. All right. So where was I? Okay, listen real good now, cause I can prove everything I'm saying. He didn't get CSLI. All right. Now he said after he talked to the FBI, okay, he said I consulted with an FBI agent that has over 15 years of federal. He's given the FBI credentials, but he didn't give them Brian's data. All he did was talk to him on the phone. He never submitted CSLI data to the FBI. How do you know hard truth? You can't say everything this man is saying is a lie. I can hear you talking to me. I can hear you saying that. But I came with my weapons drawn. I got a pistol and a Glock for you right now. Check this out. J.L. Spraggins, one of my dear subscribers, he challenged me on this kind of information in my last video. He said, are those warrants peculiar because they are after the fact? In an emergency, it can access info without a warrant, but afterwards, most, obtain a warrant to demonstrate good faith. And he documented it. And then the second one, some information can be obtained from providers with a subpoena after information. So I said, he's right. I need to go back. I got to prove this. All right? So let me prove it. Because JL was right. I had to go back and dot my I's and make sure I could prove it. All right? First of all, how do cops get CLSI? I need to come back to this. These out of order a little bit. I need to stay in the flow of proving what JL said. We'll come back to this. Okay, this is what I was telling you. He never submitted CSLI data to the FBI. You want to make a screenshot? FBI did not determine anything. He did. He consulted with them. He didn't submit any data to the FBI. He gave you all their credentials. It sounds real fancy. But guess what? He didn't give them nothing. Check this out. After all that blah, 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 I was able to determine estimated locations for the 8458 phone from the 12th to the 13th. He was able to determine. FBI did not determine anything. No, ma'am, Hiroshima. I'm not even gonna try that right now. I'm not even gonna try that. I have to put them on there later, but I can't do it right now. Okay, so listen. He was able to determine after he consulted with the FBI. It's right here in black and white. Okay, he got a warrant from November the 12th to 12:01 a.m. on November the 14th. Historical data. It was not CSLI. He didn't have enough evidence on Brian to get that approved through the court, I believe. But that's for another day. He determined these points. Everything that you read in the PCA after this is Opie speculation. It has nothing to do with the FBI. Nothing. Okay? All the information he presents after this paragraph is his speculation. All right? Let me put that in the chat. All paid info is open speculation. He put the cash in here, and I'm going to come back to that. He put all that fancy stuff in here about FBI credentials, but he's the one that determined these estimated locations with his qualifications, which is 0 to none. He only been a cop for 2 years. All right? And then here's JL's point. He said, well, the court could have gave him permission for that period. He's saying himself, he's admitting right here, down here in the corner, the time period authorized by the court. November the 12th, 2022 to November 13th, 2022 is the time period authorized by the court. He wasn't authorized to get any historical data from June 23rd to nowhere. The court authorized November the 12th through the 13th. And he finally put that here after he pumped you up with the FBI, CSL, and all of this stuff. He never had authority to ask for any records of Brian's before November the 12th. He never had the authority to do it. Now let's go back to CSLI. Now, how do cops get... Hey, Veronica. Thank you for coming. Hey, Veronica. All right. How do cops get CSLI? Okay, prior to the Carpenter case, police routinely sought access to CSLI in criminal cases for anything rather than seeking a probable cause warrant. That was prior to Carpenter. All right? This is post-Carpenter. Cops must obtain a probable cause warrant for 7 days or more of historical CSLI. Okay? So he only had 2 days he was authorized to get. And true enough, he could. All right? It's right here in black and white, Hiroshima. I'm sorry, but unless you can prove me wrong, you don't have to believe it. I'm proving it. You have to prove me wrong. You can't say it's hard to believe, because that's why this is called a hard truth, because the truth is hard to believe. That's why we call this the hard truth, because it's hard. If it was easy for you to believe, it wouldn't be the truth. You're going to have to prove me wrong. You can't say it's hard to believe. All truth is hard to believe. That's why we call this the hard truth. All right? That let me know I'm going down the right track. If it's hard for you to believe, I must be putting it on you. Okay, post-Carpenter, cops can obtain a probable cause warrant for 7 days or more of historical CSLI. So even if he had historical CSLI, he could only get 2 days of it. He didn't have to have a probable cause warrant, but it wasn't from June to 23rd. It was from June the 12th to November the 13th. That's all the court ordered. So even if he got out of the probable cause warrant, it clearly says in the PCA, the court ordered November the 12th to the 13th. Hey, Lori Wilhelm. All right, Lori. That's right. You following me. You following me. That's right. If you can prove me wrong, bring it. I want to be wrong. Trust me, I want to be wrong. Wait till we get to the end. All right. So he could have got for 24 to 48 hours of data, but not CSLI. All right. Let me move on. I already been there. It's kind of out of order, but I want to make sure. I went too far. Okay, now. I want to come back to that. I want to come back to that. All right. Here's page 17 of the PCA. Oh, snap. Beautiful in the house. Hey, beautiful. All right. Time to have a party. All right. Where was I? Okay. You could just play this back, and check behind me. All right. It says, after consulting with Cass S.A., the FBI, in other words, I was able to determine estimated locations. That's what he determined. FBI didn't determine anything. This is his doing. All of these trap pictures of cell phone, GPS, all these screenshots that he put in this PCA, he made those. It's not from the FBI. It's not from Cass. From FBI. He did it. Unless it's 3 AT&T warrants out there, he did it. All right, so now he's saying on December 23rd, I was granted a search warrant for Kohberger's historical CSLI. That's a lie. He was granted for just plain old phone data. He did not have authorization for peer register, trap, and trace. He didn't have all that. He didn't have it. All right, and then it says up at the top, June 2022 to present. And then in the second paragraph, June 23rd to current. In other words, this was published on what? The 30th? When they arrested him? He did not have Brian Kohberger's phone information for the 30th. I mean, from the 23rd to the 30th of December. He did not. It's a lie. He didn't even have CSLI. He didn't have it. He wrote up all of this stuff with the phone pings himself. The FBI did not do it. He did. He did. Now, let me go and make sure I'm not skipping anything. Hold on. Let me look at my notes. Okay. All data is historical if it's old data. He didn't have a CSLI. He conditioned us. He started out with just historical, and then by the time he got here, it was historical CSLI, which he didn't have. And I want you to understand that all of these pictures that he put in the CSI of movement, these are his speculation. His. He has no qualifications. None. But it's his speculation. All right. Now, here's a big thriller. I'm finna drop a bombshell on you. I'm getting ready to drop a bombshell on you, and I'm gonna see if you catch it. Opie claims he got Brian Kohberger's. They found his car on the 25th. And he's suggesting that they had his phone number around that same time. Let me tell you something. If he didn't file for AT&T phone records for Brian until the 23rd, he didn't even know that he could go back and find out. He didn't know that Brian had been arrested 2 times and that Brian was on there saying his phone number. He didn't know that until December. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to put this in the chat and then I'm going to prove it. He's Opie for real. I was joking around so I don't get a defamation charge. I changed the name. But this is Mayberry for real. This is Barney Fife investigating level for real. I was just joking around. It's Mayberry for real, y'all. Hey, Annie. Let me. Shout out to Annie Potts. All right. Shout out to Annie. Okay, now, what I'm telling you is, Brian got stopped in August and October. Agreed? His phone number was on one of those body cams. Opie didn't even know that until December. He didn't know. He didn't do a background check on Brian to know that he had been a traffic stop 2 times. He didn't do enough research on Brian to even know that until December. I'm going to prove it to you. Here's my proof. Do you think that Opie would have walked around with Brian Kohberger's cell phone number in his pocket for a month and never asked AT&T for the records? When would that ever happen? It'd have been soon as he got his phone number, it was burning a hole in his pocket. John's Custom Sauce. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Hey, John. Shout out to John's Custom Sauce. Shout out to John's. Putting an inexperienced detective as lead on this case is crazy. Doesn't Moscow have seasoned investigators? I feel he was under immense pressure to solve this. Hold on now, John. That's the superstar detective. He's not just the lead detective. He's the superstar, remember? He aced the police academy. And he's an Afghanistan vet. This is Super Cop. This is not just any lead investigator. This is Super Cop, remember? No, he didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't know. Let me show you another reason I know he didn't know. Let me show you another reason he didn't know. Remember, let me put in the chat. Let me put in the chat proof. He didn't know. Okay? Now, here's my proof. He didn't know. They stopped Brian 2 times in Indiana. Moscow police ordered that. December the 15th, they stopped Brian Kohberger 2 times. They was on to him. But it still would have been almost 10 days later before he asked for his phone records. They didn't even have Brian's phone number on those police stops at December 15th. He didn't have it. Because as soon as he got Brian Kohberger's phone number, I give him 22 hours at the most, and a warrant was filed for them records. I give him 20. He might have been able to hold Brian Kohberger's phone number for about 5 hours, but until it was place open up where you could file for a warrant, the courthouse or wherever, he might have called a judge and woke him up out of his bed and told him, hey, I need a warrant for this phone number. They stopped him twice with his daddy in Indiana. Still no second AT&T warrant. It was no warrant because he still had not dug deep enough to know that Brian was on record giving his phone number. He didn't know. That's right, Lori. Shout out to Lori. Shout out to Lori Ingram. He didn't know. This is open for real, y'all. This is Mayberry. This is Body Fight for real. I was just joking. But it's Mayberry for real. He didn't even know Brian's phone number was on record with the police since when? Since August. He didn't know. That's why we didn't get this warrant until the 23rd. He should have known. But he didn't. Nah. He didn't even look at the old traffic stops. All right? That's the first bar. All right, now. Let's move on. Unless you can prove me wrong, let's move on. I'm open. Okay? The floor is open for anybody with evidence to the contrary, because JL pushed me to go and do my due diligence, and so I did. And the court said, you don't have enough evidence on this guy. We're going to give you enough of a search warrant to go look in his phone for the time of the murders, 24 to 48 hours, and that's it. That's what the court said. And the FBI did not run nothing. He did. He consulted with them. He called somebody at the FBI. And so now he can say he consulted with the FBI. But he didn't get an FBI not one drop of data and say, go through this CSLI data. Because even if he had the data, he didn't get it legally. He didn't get it legally. If he bring up CSLI data at the trial, it's gonna be suppressed because he wasn't supposed to have it. He didn't get it legally. He's trying to be slick. All right, he's trying to be slick. Now, this is what I want to show you. I was able to determine means he's the one that determined it. All right. I'm going to give you another bombshell. But we got to back up for 1 second. I want to show you something. All right. We looked at how cops get CSLI post. All right. They have a warrant or the court. Now, let's look at something else. We know this is a lie because Brian Kohberger was in class on November the 14th. He said, okay, let's stop right here. Let's stop right here before the second bombshell. Okay? Let's stop here. Andy Potts said, oh, he knew he didn't need to look at nothing on BK because he already had it. He handpicked him, IMO. No, Annie. I wanted to believe that. Annie. But Brian Kohberger's phone records is the only thing they have besides this sheep foolishness. There's no way he needed Brian's phone number like yesterday. That was what was stopping them from arresting him. That's what was holding them up. That was stopping them from getting a warrant for the DNA. That's what stopped them from being able to go in burst in those people's house looking for stuff and go in that trash. That phone number information was stopping them. Because without all of that, what did they have? A sheaf that with nothing on it that they claimed got one source of male DNA. That's all they had. And supposedly, Dylan said somebody with bushy eyebrows passed by her. That's all they had. And some pictures of a white car at night. It might not even be white. It might have been a light-colored car. All right, Hiroshima, thank you so much for coming out. You can watch the recording and make your comments tomorrow. That's right. Bye-bye. Much love. Let me send you a heart. Send you a couple of hearts. All right. Now you can go. All right, make sure you go on replay and give me your perspective tomorrow, I guess, hopefully. You know you ain't going to bed, Hiroshima. We don't believe you. You are not going to bed. You getting ready to go have some fun. I'm just messing with you. All right, where was I? Okay, look on this right here. This is important too. And then I'm going to give you the bombshell to really drive home what I'm telling you about Mayberry. All right, we know Washington State. Well, look at the paragraph. It says, investigators found that the phone did connect to a cell tower that provides service to Moscow on November the 14th. He means he found. Remember, he's doing this. Now he's talking about investigators. It wasn't no investigators. He found, doing his own research of the phone data. He found. Okay? Let me put that in the chat. Investigators. Now it's investigators. It's not the FBI. Mowbray trained the newest tech to find data easily. Why did Opie not give him the information? You get ready to spoil one of my bombs, Veronica. Stop right there. You stop right there. You getting ready to be a spoiler. Stop it. You getting ready to be a spoiler. Now you put a pin in that now. Now he's talking about investigators found. Oh, you got it, Hiroshima. I got you. Know I got you. You know I got you. You know now I got to show some love. All right, now I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt that you really going to bed. All right. Now listen. Now remember it was FBI, CAS, SA, Special Agent, blah, blah, blah. Now it's investigators. He don't want to own this part of the PCA because this is where he ran into problems. He did. Opie. He's the one. He's the one. You going to bed, beautiful? Or you telling Hiroshima good night? Oh. I was going to say, y'all ain't right. I ain't even got to my second point. Okay, I'm going to keep going before people start dropping off saying, okay, what's really happening? Okay, listen. He's saying investigators here. He's not saying FBI, CAS, SA, or all this fancy stuff he was saying before because he's the one that did all the research up until now. That picture above this paragraph, he did that. He did that. Hello, that's right, beautiful. We got to hang a little longer. He did that. So now the investigators found a ping for the 14th, and we know that's not Brian. Investigators do not believe the phone was in Moscow on that date. You mean he can't prove he was there on that date? That's what he's saying. He can't prove it. So now investigators, not him. Let me say what all this spells right here. What I said in the beginning. One word, narcissist. Narcissist. I went through his phone. I got enough hits here to conspire and concoct this story. But this one ping right here is causing me trouble. All right? This one ping right here. So I'm going to say investigators couldn't do it. He can't even admit that he said he was taking claim for the work before. He said, I was able to determine. But now that it's a problem, it's a kink in the data, investigators found it. Not him, investigators. You understand what I'm saying? Now it's the investigators. Because he had no idea what Opie was. I mean, where Brian was from November the 14th to December the 30th. He had no idea. Only way he knew where Brian was from December 23rd to the 30th is if you put a trap on his phone. And that's what we get ready to look at next. All right? Where is my Washington slide? I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, maybe it'll run from here. There it is. Okay, as we can see, exactly, John. Y'all with me? I'm so happy. Did nobody call me crazy yet? Steve said Sergeant Blaker needed a search warrant to search for the knife sheath in Kohberger's apartment, a knife sheath that Opie supposedly had, but Opie lied. Investigators equals people not on super cops level. John's custom sauce. Robin Latham. So aren't in this paragraph that his phone could be connected to this tower even though Brian wasn't even in the area. I mean, Robin, you awake. Robin. Shout out to Robin and John and Steve. Shout out to all three of them. Let me put that in there. Let me put a shout out for these three. Hold on just 1 second. Shout out for people that's really following what I'm saying, feeling what I'm saying. Cause I'm not making this up. This is my conclusion one way or the other. I could care less one way or the other. If he did it, warm up the electric chair. And if he didn't do it, let that man go back to his family and stop these shenanigans. That's my take. If he did it, start heating up the electric chair right now. So it'll be good and hot. So it'll be good and hot. But if he didn't do it, stop the madness. That's all I'm saying. Now look, it says on November 17th was this article. It said many students from Washington State University have taken off for home while police continue to identify a possible suspect. So everybody, Washington State didn't close down after the murders. Some of the students went home, but Brian didn't. He couldn't. He was a teacher's assistant. He couldn't pack it up and run for the hills. He couldn't. So we know that he wasn't there on the 14th. And one thing I'm finna announce here to make sure everybody get that's late coming in. Let me let you know. All right? Opie made up all the phone ping data. The FBI didn't have anything to do with it. The FBI didn't have anything to do with stopping him in Indiana. As a matter of fact, the FBI made a statement, a public statement, that they had nothing to do with stopping Brian Kohberger and his father in Indiana. Lily White. Shout out to Lily for coming and checking me out. Thank you so much for coming to join us. Hey, Lily. All right, you just threw out Just Amber. Shout out to Just Amber. Just Amber said they just threw out the pings they didn't like. That's exactly what you mean. He. You mean he. You mean he. Because this is all Opie's doing. You mean he. It's not they, it's him. He said in the PCA, I was able to determine. I think I need to back it up. I think I need to back it up. I got a couple more. I'm gonna drop a bomb on you. See if you can handle this. All right? We know that's a lie. I'm gonna drop another bomb on you. We know this is not true. He didn't have CSL data, not legally. He didn't. If he did a pen register trap and trace, I'm gonna address that right now. But let me show you. Let me remind you one more time. Because I think maybe it's here. Because okay, let that run through right quick. Okay. This is the last time I'm going to show this screen. Thank you, Agape Love. Shout out to Agape and Annie Potts. All right. I'm going to show this screen one last time because I want you to get in your system that Opie said I was able to determine estimated locations. It has not one diddly squat to do with FBI or CAS. Not one diddly squat. I don't know if that's a word. Diddly squat. I'm going to try to spell it. Is that how you spell diddly squat? Is that a word? Should I put two D's? Okay, Agape Love said, didn't they need warrants for each person's phone? Yes, they did. And they put out quite a few warrants for each person. But in this section right here, I'm just talking about Brian's phone. Because this is, I just want you to understand, he was able to determine estimated location. And they estimated. They estimated. They estimated. This not a printout of CSLI data that showed Brian Kohberger moving in all these places. These are estimated locations that he did himself. Opie did this. No investigators, no FBI. He did it. He did it. Now let me show you just how Mayberry this is for those of you who think I'm being excessive. All right? Hold on a minute. Or better yet, I'm not going to pull it up on the screen. I'm going to just drop the bomb. That's right, Agape. That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. You know what I'm talking about. My dad used to say that. You absolutely right. LOL. All right. Now, yeah, separate warrants, but we just dealing with Brian's today. Now, y'all ready for the next bombshell? I'm going to show you just how Mayberry this investigation has been while they trying to put it off as something sophisticated. Shout out to Robin for being my conscience. Shout out to Robin Lathan for being my conscience. Okay? You're being too hard on this hard truth. This is the hard truth. Okay. I'll ease up. I'm gonna ease up. It's all good. It's all good. I'm gonna listen, Robin. I'm all right. I'm gonna obey. No more using the DS word, cause it's the wrong word. All right. Shout out to Robin. All right. Now, here is the bombshell. Proof that this is Mayberry. Now, I'm not going to pull up the paperwork, but I could if I had to. Now, after Brian Kohberger's apartment was searched, they also put in for a separate warrant to search the storage shed that comes with Brian's apartment. Now, before they put in for this warrant, they had already been in his apartment. The lock and key to the storage shed was on the TV stand in the apartment. And then, not only that, the door to the storage shed was hanging open. And they still applied for a warrant to search it. This how desperate and Mayberry this investigation really is. Let me tell you something. Let me put some hard truth in here, in this chat. Time outlasts all BS. Listen, I don't mean to talk about nobody. I'm just speculating. Everything in this video is pure speculation for entertainment. Everybody's comments in the chat, we all speculating for entertainment. So don't nobody call me or don't call nobody else in this chat talking about defamation because we just entertaining ourselves. This is all speculation. All right? Now listen to me. Why on earth? You got a slam dunk case. You got a positive ID. You got a sheath with his DNA on it. You got his car on film. It's definitely his car. You could see that it didn't have a front plate when it was way out on Steiner Avenue somewhere because there's no way you could have seen this plate from Linda Lane at night. We already saw that view. You didn't see that. You couldn't see whether it had a front plate on it when it was going from King to Queen Road. You couldn't see that. You couldn't see that. It was too dark and too far away. We can see the view from Linda Lane. We saw that already on one of these, on the last live, I believe. You couldn't see that. You can't even guarantee that the car was white on Linda Lane camera. The only place that you can guarantee even that the car was white is Steiner Avenue or some other sighting or over there in Pullman. Because those sightings on King and Queen Road, you don't know what color the car was. It could have been silver. It could have been a police hybrid. It could have been tan, beige, or it could have been white. You can't even prove it was white without the other sightings. It's the truth. This is Mayberry. Now, I want to ask you this. If your suspect is gone to another state, he left the key to the storage on the TV stand with the key. And when you go out there, the door is hanging open. It's not even shut. Are you going to bother to ask for a warrant? Really? So you mean to tell me Brian Kohberger is that much of a Forrest Gump? Not even Forrest Gump, because Forrest Gump wouldn't have done that. Or the idiot. What's his name, Steve, when he played the idiot? What was that movie where he was dancing around at the beginning? The idiot or the... I can't remember the name of it. But Steve, what's his name, played? The comedian. But anyway, who is going to be dumb enough to go behind that and ask a judge for a search warrant? Like you got some... And then they said, we're going into the shed, Judge, because we believe we can find number 1 and number 5 on the evidence list, Judge. We want number 1 and number 5, right? Number 1 was a nitrite glove. Let me put that in the chat. They're going in the shed to look for number 1 and number 5. The nitrite glove is number 1. And number 2 is hair that could be one of the victims of the dog or the dog. Number 5. Number 5 is possible hair. They're going in a shed that's not locked. They go in the shed. Not only is it not locked, he's got his lock and key inside the house. He's done with that. He's going to Pennsylvania from here. And you spent taxpayer time and money. The jerk, that's what it is. The jerk. Oh, who said that? Beautiful. Shout out to Beautiful. The jerk. The jerk. That's what it is. You know that's coming. You know that's coming in my next video. You know that's coming. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. The jerk. That's what you can expect next. Shout out to Beautiful. Okay, blacked out body cam. Who? You mean mine? Sounded like BK set them up, maybe. I thought that too, Annie. We think alike. Shout out to Annie Potts. Shout out to Annie Potts. We think alike. I said maybe Brian was being real smooth. He left the lock and key there and sit them down there looking in this dumb shed that's not even, he left it open. Okay, it's like he's playing with them. But I don't think that's the case. Because I honestly don't think Brian had too much of a clue before December. And then after December, I don't think he had a clue until he had already left his apartment. If he had a clue that these people would get ready to breathe down his neck with this quadruple murder, he wouldn't have left Washington the way he did. With everything sitting there fine and dandy, ready to come back. And you know he's from Pennsylvania because he could have just left the lock on his shed, but he didn't trust nobody breaking in his shed. Why? Because he's from Pennsylvania. You don't leave your shed with the lock on it with stuff you value inside of it when you go out of state. If you're from Pennsylvania, they didn't always live in that Indian Mountain subdivision with 250,000 and up houses. They didn't always live there. They lived in the hood before. Brian is not slow, street slow like people are saying. This dude was on heroin in Pennsylvania. The fact that he took his lock and key off that storage and didn't leave nothing in it is very telling. It's very telling. It lets you know, number one, that he didn't trust that storage shed while he was gone. That's number one. That's what it tells us. He had sense enough not to trust that storage shed while he was gone for break. That's why he didn't leave anything in it, because he didn't trust it. That lets you know how much street smarts he's got. From Pennsylvania, because somebody from the big city, somebody from a country town would have left everything in that storage shed with a lock on it, and they would have trusted that. Let me tell you something. All of this that I'm talking about, agape, he's discussing stuff that happened before he ever got a computer from BK. We haven't even got there yet. And let me tell you what they got out of Brian's apartment while we on it, and I'm gonna prove it. Because Agape, you pulled up a good point. After Moscow searched Brian's apartment, all right, they went back for the shed. They let you know they didn't find anything in the apartment. They didn't find anything in the apartment. That's why they went so far as desperate to say, let's check the shed. A wide open shed. They didn't find anything in the apartment. And then I'm going to tell you what makes it even worse. Let me tell you what makes it even worse. Not only did they not find anything in the apartment and were so desperate that they come up with nothing, because all that nitrite glove they did find, they didn't even send it to the lab for testing. Most of that stuff came back negative, but if you look on the sheet, I have to do that next time. They didn't even send the nitrite glove for testing. So why are you telling the public about a glove and you didn't even send it to be tested? On the list it says send to the lab for testing, and it's checked no. You still looking for Brian to be the sole responsible person for this crime, Veronica, and I respect that. But I also respectfully ask you to prove it. How did Brian know it was on? How can you prove that Brian even did it? You have to prove it. I don't want to hear no speculation about what Brian knew, and you can't prove that he's even a good suspect. You have to prove he's a suspect before you speculate on what he knew. He left town. That trip was pre-arranged. Brian's father already had an airline ticket. They had already planned for him to come pick up his son, ride with his son. It was predetermined. But let me go back to the shed in the apartment before I lose my point. Not only did they search a useless shed full of dust, looking for hair and a glove the glove they had, they never sent it to a lab. So what you talking about you looking for another glove for? We get ready to get to discovery. We get ready to get to that. Agape love, you just brought up another good point, and you get ready to be a spoiler. So I'm going to go ahead and move on before you spoil it. Okay, but here's my point about the apartment. Blaker got real excited about the fancy computer on the counter, but they left the smart TV. Then BK lawyer went and got the smart TV. Maybe there was a thumb drive or SD card in the TV. And listen, when after Mayberry went in the apartment, didn't find nothing really, and searched the useless shed, Annie Taylor did come in behind them. But not only was it the TV, she took some documents that the defense did not take. They were so busy looking for some blood or a sheath or whatever, they didn't take the paperwork. They took the computer. Annie came in and took paperwork. I'm telling you, Mayberry. They came in and they took stuff. Once they left out of there, shouldn't have been really nothing for Ann Taylor to take. Especially not something that she got to provide to the prosecution as discovery. Y'all went in there first. He may have been there as a driver, but ain't nowhere in the world Brian Kohberger was part of a quadruple murder scene inside that house, and then came out of there just skipping around la-di-da, waiting for the 13th or the 12th so he can go home with his daddy. I just don't believe that. I just don't believe it. It's no evidence pointing that way. It's possible, but I just don't believe it. Not in the house. Now I can't say whether he could have been Forrest Gump enough to be driving somewhere and didn't know what was gonna go down. Thinking it's a slow town, what could it be? You know, this little slow town. I'm from PA. Everybody dumb over here. I'm from PA. I'm from the street in PA. You know, whatever they get ready to do, what could it possibly be about? You know? Now I believe that. I believe that. But Ann Taylor came and took paperwork that shouldn't even been there. The defense, Mayberry, Opie, and Barney went in there and took out looking for stuff that could pin him to the murder. Why? You say you got his DNA on a sheath. Get his computer and his paperwork. You say you got his DNA on a sheath. You say you got his DNA on a sheet, so what you need to be all in the dust shed for? You got his DNA, you should have got the paperwork and the computers. The proof that it's Mayberry is that Ann Taylor had something to go in there and get. The neighbor interviewed at the beginning on mainstream news who always walked late at night. Right. Brian is not the killer. The killer's still out there. Thank you. Shout out to Amy Conway. Shout out to Amy Conway. It's more than one killer. I'm moving too slow. Y'all, I need to speed it up. Because y'all, shout out to Amy. Shout out to Amy Conway. All right, now, let's get off the shed and the apartment, okay? Because Brian, he knows who he's playing against by now. He knows who he's playing against by now. Let me tell you how Brian knows he's dealing with Opie and Barney Fife. Because he's been in the Latah County Jail. This dude from Pennsylvania, he been on the streets in Pennsylvania shooting heroin. And so now, he's in Latah County, Moscow, Idaho jail. And he can see how small town this shit is just by being in that jail. I bet he's seen some 6 and 7 story jails in Pennsylvania. 8 and 9 story, 12 story jails in Pennsylvania. I didn't see John Cousin Saw's comment because I was on a rant, but I agree. Whatever you said, John. All right. Brian knows who he's dealing with. Now let's look at this CSL one last time, and then I'm going to my next point. All right. How do they get CSLI? This is something else on here I want to show. And then I'm going on to my next point. I only have 3. The first point is that we're dealing with Mayberry here. And that Opie is trying to be slick. That's point number 1. And I'm almost finished with it. All this is lies. That's his imagination. All right? I see where I didn't stop. I stopped. All right. This is where we need to stop. Talking about historical CSLI data. This is where we need to stop. There's something up with DNA evidence. Hard truth dropping bombs. I agree. No, that's Eno Harsh, the fire twirling knife master who likes to hang in San Francisco. That's agape love. All right. I think the creepy guy is supposed to be BK, but I don't know. All right, Just Amber. You can think it's BK all you want, but prove it. Give some proof that it's him. Give some proof that it point definitely to him. Something solid. I'm not talking about how he looks, because Brian Kohberger is not a bad-looking guy. On some of those pictures, he looked like Ted Bundy or Jason. And then on some of the pictures, he looks very intellectual. He looks clean off of drugs. very focused, look like he's ready to handle business. So it just depends on what picture you're looking at. But it's nothing creepy about a guy that still tuck his shirt in. You know, he may not have a tattoo yet. He still tuck his shirt in when he get up and get dressed. It's not creepy about that. I don't think it's him. I think it was what killed. Let me tell you something about that. And I'm gonna say something. I already know what I'm gonna. Some people gonna say you might call me a hater or say I'm going too far. But I'm gonna just say why I haven't been reporting on this KIM situation. I ain't even gonna say the name because I don't want nobody quoting me saying that I said this or that. I'm gonna just tell you straight up. Whenever you have somebody that's calling or on TV in person, dropping names and saying this person, I'm talking about first-hand information. Let me put that in the chat. Make sure you understand exactly what I'm saying. Whenever you have somebody dropping first-hand information about other people, where I come from, they call that snitching. That's just where I come from. Anytime somebody is publicly giving first-hand information about other people based on them being there or knowing somebody that was there personally, we call that snitching. I just spell it right. That's snitching. Yeah, Brian know who we're dealing with. I'm going to show you the proof on the discovery. But let me tell you something. You see here, this is what lawyers look at. It says what you're supposed to look for is any subpoenas or search warrants, any discovery. Anybody that's dropping information publicly on somebody like that is snitching. Hey, Sudi, shout out to Sudi. Where you been, Sudi? Shout out to Sudi. Anybody that's, and so if you got personal, this is what I say. If you got firsthand information about this case, this horrific case, Leah Story, shout out to Leah. GJH. Shout out to GJH. All right. Listen to what I'm saying. If somebody got firsthand information about a horrific murder, if you're going to snitch, go on record. Go on record to Moscow PD or Pullman and help them find the right person that did this so these families and these victims and their families can get justice. Okay? I don't do snitching. I don't do snitching. A snitch for any reason. But I don't trust and I don't do snitches. I don't want nothing to do with it. Okay? Because if you so offended by what a snitch is about, okay, you shouldn't even want it around you. I don't want it around me because you snitching. Go on record. Go on record and help these poor families have some peace in their heart. Because Mr. G know that he's being lied to. Mr. G does not have peace. So if you got information to where Mr. G can say, okay, that's what really happened, and he can go to sleep, go on record. Go on record and help the case so that what you're saying can be admissible in court. Give a signed statement of what you know. And help the authorities find the right person. But all this just ranting for hours over what this person did and what that person did, what this person drove, where this person was, is snitching to me. And I'm going to leave it at that. I didn't call nobody snitch. I'm saying when you are dropping first-hand information about people, even if you provide the paperwork, you still snitching. You still snitching. If you ain't going on record somewhere, showing your face and putting your John Hancock saying, I said it, this is what I said, this is what I know, and this is what I said. If you can't do that, why not? Why not? Anyway, I'm through with that. I'm moving on. Now look here, this is what you look for. Any discovery referring to cell phone tower location information, GPS data, or cell phone extraction reports that include location information. Okay, we see that Opie claims he got that. He claimed he got CSLI. He claimed he did pin trace, blah, blah, blah. He claimed he got all this legally. All right, so this is what Ann Taylor and Brian Kohberger are asking for in discovery. Okay, how do I challenge CSLI evidence? You file a discovery motion. Now I'm gonna tell you what bothers me about that discovery motion. But they're asking. Oh, Just Amber said, sorry, I was trying to cause any conflict. Someone just asked who the creepy guy was, and I was just saying that according to, who it was, BK, but I don't think that helped. No, I'm being too hard. Robin running to comfort you. I'm the bad. Watch, she gonna say I'm the bad person. Professor Hartrue was too hard on us. Hey, this is for grown folks in here. The truth is the truth. Because look at what's at stake. Look at what's at stake. Somebody on death row whose parents was depending on him to be able to finish paying off their mortgage and retire. They done they due diligence to get their kids out the hood, get a family home, and get everybody grown and out there established in the world as adults. And Brian was going to be their ticket to be able to sit down and rest after all this. And so now he over here in jail for quadruple murder. And they, ain't nobody putting up their house. I don't know who bought that house across the street, but you won't be getting a Kohberger house. I don't know what the significance is of buying the house across the street. But you're not getting a Kohberger house, because guess what? They didn't put it up to get a lawyer. A lot of people do put their house up to get a lawyer. But Brian Kohberger family didn't put their house up to get a lawyer. They're going with Ann Taylor. So 119, what's the street number? What's the street name? 119, something drive. They didn't put their house up. You might as well go on and resell the one across the street, because Kohbergers didn't put their house up for a lawyer. No, don't even show yourself, Leah. Don't even show yourself. I don't want to hear that unless you're going to sign your name to a sworn statement with the police, the sheriff, the university, somebody. Unless you're going to sign your name. Unless you're finna go sign your name somewhere as a statement. It's a gag order out, remember? If you're really trying to help, you would give your information in a way where it can be used in court. It's a gag order out. Me either, Leah. I mean, he have his good days and his bad days, but like I said in one of my two of my videos, he can get a date. He can get a date. So ain't no use in calling him creepy because you want him to be some quadruple murderer. If he creepy, let it be because he's creepy. And he's not. Because a lot of women out there calling him creepy don't have a man that look half as good as Brian Kohberger. Got half as good going for him as Brian had before all this mess. So stop trying to act like Brian Kohberger is so far out your league. Okay? Stop that. Stop that. Keep it real now. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. But anyway, Let's look at discovery motion, and I'll be done with this point. I want to make a point about the discovery motion that Brian and Ann Taylor filed. This don't make sense. All right. This is the discovery motion number 5. This is the only discovery motion that Brian and Ann Taylor mentioned that requires them to turn over the phone data. Number 5, it says all reports, notes, recordings, and photos. So all reports means, that means all these reports that Opie claimed he got from AT&T, all these historical, okay, this historical, okay, all this historical CSLI that you claim you got, it's time to turn it over. It's time to turn it over. All right? Now, the only thing that bothers me about this discovery motion is that they didn't say specifically that they wanted all the ping records. They didn't say specifically cell phone records anywhere in this discovery. That can only mean one or two things. Maybe y'all can help me out. Either they didn't mention pings in this discovery specifically, okay, either they didn't mention the pings in this discovery specifically because they already know it's hogwash, ain't no use in wasting time with it. Or they can't be eating this stuff that Opie said, because Brian know if it's not true, Brian knows it's not true. So this is either a good or bad sign that they did not put the specifically that they wanted ping evidence. They're not even worried about no ping evidence looking at this discovery. They just said all reports. Just give us all the reports. You know? Now you good. Shout out to Agape. You brought out some mad points here. Now, I'm finna blow your mind again. Shout out to Agape, Robin, Veronica. Okay, y'all on it. Y'all on it. Yep. I gotta give you a shout out. All right. Now, that's what bothers me about this, and maybe y'all can share with me in the chat what you think of it. But I'm gonna take this down. I believe I've worked this enough for the night. I've worked this enough for the night. I'm going to my second point. Now, here's my second point. I thought you said you was through with the phone. Yeah, I am. This is something else. All right. Now, you can see in here that Opie is talking about Cass SA, and all of these people with experience analyzing phone data. He's hijacking their credentials. He doesn't have any of these credentials, but he put them in here because somebody's supposed to have them. Somebody's supposed to have them. If you're talking about analyzing historical data, somebody's supposed to have them. He doesn't, but he's the one that's doing all of the he's the one that's doing all the determination and estimating location. He did it all. So I said, what is Cass SA? Let me look this up to make sure I got a full understanding. Remember, JL put me down. He said, listen, you need to prove this stuff. So I looked up Cass SA, and look what happened. Cass is a software company, develops tools which analyze applications and database source code and help IT managers and developers optimizing application development and evolution. Cass has offices in Europe and United States. All right. Okay, CAS SA, the purpose of it is to help IT managers, right? All right, so in comes who? Now, there's a question of whether Kopacka was a security guard or IT at one of these schools. I wanted to Robin Layton. I'm starting to think there's a lot more strength to the story that Maddie was pissed off about the drug traffic in the house and was going to tell someone about it. Agape love. Amy Conway, there is just a huge international bus of traffickers, but mainstream won't publicize it as it should all the way to the top, as it shoots all the way up to the top. Okay, Just Amber. I think there is definitely something much bigger going on that led to what happened to them. Something they don't want getting out. Just Amber, let me give you a shout out. All y'all. Now this is critical thinking. We're not just taking what they hand us and say, oh, look at this creepy guy. Doesn't he look like Ted Bundy? Just because somebody said he did something, make them prove it. Make them prove it. Okay, now, was Brian Kopacka Washington's security guard, or was he IT manager at Idaho or whatever? Renee Phillips, shout out to Renee Phillips. What's up? All right, that's what I'm saying. Help me, Pennsylvania, help me out. Shout out to Renee. All right, shout out to Renee Phillips. That's right. Now, I wanted to know, is he a security guard or is he an IT manager? Because he was staying in apartments in Pullman. But that don't mean he worked at Washington State. Then that doesn't mean he was a student either. That just means he lived close by the campus. We really don't know where he lived because some people say he didn't even live in that apartment. All right? And so, listen, I looked and this is what I could find as far as Kopacka at Washington State. Okay, let's go. Now, I got this off of TikTok, Twitter, one of them. Annie Potts said, yes, the GSI software on campus, I wondered if MPD had access to it all. All staff and students use it for locating each other, drone mapping, etc. Shout out to Annie Potts. Where are the guys at? Steve and where are the guys at? Why y'all letting us take over? Okay, here's what I found on Kopacka. Somebody sent this request to Washington State University, and it says, to whom it may concern, pursuant to Washington Public Records Act. See, they have to give you public records. They have to. They can't just charge you. Public records is free. He said, pursuant to Washington Public Records Act, RCW 4256, I am writing to request access to any and all public records pertaining to Brent Kopacka and their employment at Washington State University. The records. The request includes, but is not limited to, the following types of records. Blah, 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 blah. Now, if you look on the right, it says, request closed, dear requester. After a diligent search, we have been unable to locate any records responsive to your public records request. Okay, so I'm not saying this is hard proof. I'm just saying this suggests that Kopacka did not work at Washington State as security guard or anything else. Now, if he was a security guard at Washington State, that would make a big difference. But if he's not a security guard at Washington State, is he IT? Because if he's IT at University of Idaho, that would explain the SWAT. Because guess who was doing the data for the phones? Opie was doing it himself. I'm gonna put this in the chat, and this is a wild one, but I'm gonna have to throw it out there. I'm gonna have to throw it out there. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to do it. This is for you to ponder and maybe in the comments later. I'm putting it in the chat. Now, this is something for you to chew on. If Kopacka worked IT at University of Idaho or Washington State University, he would have been aware of that cast. He would have been aware of it. Let me go back. All right. If he was an IT manager, that's where that cast comes in. Yes, Xana's mom charged with intent to sell, and so was Maddie's stepmom on November the 7th, mixing fentanyl. How does Maddie's mom's charges get dropped? Okay, shout out to Amy. And let me see. I'm gonna grab somebody else in there. That question was for you, Agape. Sounds like it, Robin. Okay, Leah. So between Kaylee sleuthing and Maddie's anger and wanting to tell, you think they were the ones targeted? I think that it was no accident that this so-called sleuth and the fact that Maddie and Kaylee were in that same little bitty bed, I think all of that points to both of them being targeted. That's what I think. It doesn't exclude Xana and Ethan from being targeted, but it definitely includes Maddie and Kaylee. I think the fact that both of them were in the same bed, because I don't believe they was both killed in no bed sleeping, because if Katie was up there playing with the dog, 5 or 10 minutes later, she was not asleep. She was fighting. She fought for her life. That's why she got the worst of it. Not because she was targeted, but because she was awake when they got in there. Unfortunately, Dylan's testimony admits that Kaylee was awake at 4 o'clock. So if she was dead by 4:13 or 4:12, we know she was awake, and we know she wasn't laying down with Maddie if she was playing with her dog. So how did both of them get in the same bed, and why did they decide to say they found the sheath next to Maddie and Kaylee? I believe Maddie and Kaylee are clearly involved in the targeting, and that it could have been all 4 of them. I believe they meant to kill everybody that was in there. But I believe Maddie and Kaylee definitely. They meant to kill both of them. And I believe they put them in the same bed. That's what I believe. I believe they put Kaylee and Maddie in the same bed. And I believe it was more than one person that did it. And I don't believe that dog was hanging around or in the other room watching soap operas while all this was going on. I don't believe it. Because it was going on well before 4/17. We need more than one bark. If it was even Murphy, we need more than one bark. And they getting it on in Maddie's room enough to where it's leaking down in the kitchen on the cabinet. Yeah, well, I want to believe, Sudi. I heard Mr. G say there was no blood in Kaylee's room. I want to say that. I have to go look for it, but I believe Mr. G said there was no blood in Kaylee's room. And so, if all this fighting and stuff, I believe he got on Maddie first, and Kaylee came and got on him and tried to defend Maddie. At some point, Kaylee was fighting for her life too, and probably for Maddie's too. I believe that. And I believe once both of them were deceased, they put Kaylee in the bed with Maddie and put that knife sheath in the bed with them. They was making a statement. It's got to be more people involved. How did the dog conveniently get tucked away in the room across the hall? Come on, we're not retarded. Okay, while you calling Brian Kohberger dumb, they calling you dumb if you believe some of the stuff they're telling you. They calling all of us dumb, not just Brian. They calling criminology PhD student dumb, so you know they calling us dumb. I don't believe Murphy was there, and there was plenty of time between the time they called all these people to come over, and they finally got there themselves, Bethany and Dylan. It's plenty of time to bring the dog back in there. It's plenty of time to bring the dog back in there and set him in the room. Plenty of time. You know, I don't like or dislike KIM, but like I said, I don't like that snitching vibe, so I choose to just pass on that. I'm not gonna go through it and criticize or nothing. I'm not gonna speak on it, period, because that's not my vibe at all. That's not my vibe at all. The dog wasn't there, and the more you think about it, the more Bethany and Dylan had to have knowledge and had to be involved. The more we break it down, the less likely or possible it is. The less likely or possible it is that they even involved. Let's go to Murphy. All right, this is a new cover on my best video to date. Murphy exposes Dylan. Check that out if you haven't seen it. This is my new cover for that video. I kind of upgraded. Now let me tell you something. How would one person be able to do that to 4 people? What the heck? A dog and 2 other people in the house. John, shout out to John's Custom Sauce. For making sense. They say, you giving shout out to people that agree with you. I'm giving shout out to people that saying stuff that's true. Can't be disputed. That's logical, that's rational. Because I'm going to tell you something. Everything that I said up until this day about Opie and Brian Kohberger, I have never completely excluded Brian Kohberger from being guilty or a party to this. Because I haven't ruled him out. I haven't ruled him out as being maybe unaware, set up, or maybe the driver. You know, I haven't ruled him out as being possibly a getaway driver, or just plain old set up. Didn't even have a clue about the murders, but they got his stuff. I haven't ruled none of that out. But the evidence shows that the prosecution not on the up and up with this stuff that they put in this PCA. That's what I'm showing. Now you draw your own conclusion. Because I haven't yet been able to 100% rule Brian out as never being at, I really don't believe he ever been at that house. Except for maybe that night to go be a driver, getaway driver, or to drop somebody off to pick up some dope. And they took too long to come out. I can still see about 15% chance. I can still see about a 15% chance that BK had something to do with it. Or had knowledge. About 15%. Let me put that in the chat. So I'm being clear. It's about a 15% chance that BK had something to do with it, or had some knowledge of it, or was set up. It's still about a 15% chance that he knew or had something to do with it. And it's about a 60% chance that he was set up. That's the way I see it. All right, John's custom style. I agree, Robert and Leah. Plus, they were together, Ethan and Xana, and Kaylee and Maddie. Attacking one-on-one is different than two-on-one. That's right. I don't believe that one person was able to go from one room to the other in that house wreaking havoc. And nobody. I agree, John. Shout out to John again. Yep. Yeah, Annie Potts. I'm just being careful when I say 60. I'm just being careful. All right? I'm just being careful because there are some things that look a certain way, but you got to have hard evidence, hard proof. Hard proof. Okay, so the purpose of this live, I should change the title to What's Happening in Mayberry, because the purpose of this live, number one, was to show that all of this ping information in the PCA, Opie wrote it. It's not accurate. It's in this CSLI is a lie. It wasn't authorized. What do you think about Emma Bailey and Demetrius maybe being involved? I think whoever did this lives in Moscow, either on the police force or very close related to it, and that Emma Bailey and Demetrius may have knowledge of it. But whoever did this, they have knowledge of tactical weapons. They had enough confidence to go in a house killing people with no guns. So they knew they was coming out of there, with what they went in there to do. And those big old wounds on those kids, okay, this was not some amateur getting high and killing nobody. Now, Robin Latham brought up the 911 call. Shout out to Robin. Nada apartment. Nada. Okay, shout out to Robin and Amy Conway and Leah. Shout out to all three of them. These are powerful points. Yeah, Annie Potts. Shout out to Annie. Okay, let's look at the fact that whoever even thought of a sheath to leave as evidence and send somebody up, they're military minded right there. They've been watching Rambo. The suspect's been watching Rambo. They don't just have a Rambo knife. They sit home watching Rambo movies, watching them mess people up with that knife and cut people in the eye and stuff. All right, this was grown folks that did this. Grown folks did this. Grown folks did this to kids that they knew they could do it to. Now let me give you one more point. But I got to go back here. I got to give you one more point. This is the talking point for the next time we meet up. All right. This is a talking point for the next time we meet. And I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this. I'm putting it in the chat. Now, neither the 911 caller for the SWAT to Brent nor the Idaho 4 has been identified. No, neither one. The 5 or 6 IS police cars outside frat house, lights flashing just before arrest. Never found out what it was for or who. Yep, that's true, Veronica. Shout out to Veronica. That's true. Shout out to Veronica. All right. No 911 call. Listen, it's one thing for them not to want to tell us who called 911 in Moscow. They won't tell us who called 911 in Pullman either. Remember, the FBI probably did, Robin. Okay? The PCA is Opie's words. The FBI probably told Opie it's more than one person. The FBI probably told Opie, look, this is more than one person. And then they went on with this garbage after he came up with this knife sheath with DNA. I mean, who can argue with DNA? Then the FBI said, well, yeah, it could be a lone killer. And then they switched to that profile. But from out the gate, FBI probably told him. He said he consulted with the FBI. Justice A to Z in the house. Yep. Justice A to Z. Yep. Shout out to Justice A to Z. Trying to get me shout out. Yep. All right. I appreciate you, Justice. J-Bad. Yup. Shout out to J-Bad. All right, hold on. I'm coming. Shout out to J-Bad. What happened to my little icons and stuff? All right. Okay. So, the bottom line is, I proved 3 points today. And if you coming in late, you got some reviewing to do, but it's cool because you can back it up and you can go back and see what I said. Okay, you can consider it and we can have a conversation in the comment section this weekend. Try to get down to some real good stuff. Salute to you, Jay Lance. Hey, thank you so much for coming. All right, I appreciate it. Lori Ingram, this whole thing is shady. A whole lot crazy crap going down. Shout out to Lori for being the first or second person in the chat tonight. Shout out to Lori. All right. Now, listen. The first point I made was what? Let's review. The first point I made was that these phone pings is Opie's, that's his creation. It's not the FBI's, his. He had no idea what Brian's phone number was in November. He had no idea. He hadn't looked him up to know that he was on a body cam in November. It's a lie. All right? Second point I made, besides the fact that he came up with all this phone ping evidence, and some of it just straight lying. Okay, he set us up real good with that one. But he wasn't slick enough. All right? Now, I also made the point that the fact that they searched that shed, it just showed just how inexperienced and foolishness this investigation is on the prosecution's part. For them to ask the judge to be able to search a shed that's hanging open and locking the kids inside the apartment. Okay, that's ridiculous. That's right. The families deserve it. The families deserve the truth. And anybody with real information about the case, they should be going on the record, making a statement that can be used in court. If you really want to help the families, shout out to Robin Latham. If you really want to help the families, you wouldn't be around here snitching on everybody from A to Z. Ain't that right? Justice A to Z. You wouldn't be out here snitching from A to Z on everybody from A to Z. You would be going on record and giving information that could be used in court. That's what you'll be doing. Because there's a gag order out there. Even if you know something, if you out here blabbing around, nobody can use that in court. Nobody. But I got a surprise. Hey, prosecution got to do better than this. They're going to have to do better than this. I also pointed out that it's more than likely that Brent Kopacka did not work as a security guard at WSU. It's more than likely he didn't. And if he worked IT at one of those schools, he's most likely the person that did the cast, that consulted with the FBI, not Opie. It would have been Brent or somebody in his department that does that. It said IT managers. It says IT managers. Oh, one made nut. One made nut. What? Shout out to one made nut. One made a nut. Okay, that's what's up. One made a nut in the house. Sudi, Justice, Robin, Veronica, Leah. Brent's daughter went against Brian. Oh yeah? We need to explore that angle. We need to explore that angle. But at the same time, she going off of the same stuff they're telling us. You feel me? We got to think about that too. We got to think about that too. We got to think about the fact that these families, look at Mr. G, for example. He going off what they tell him. The reason he keep asking for the gag order to be lifted is because now he knows they just fed him a bunch of BS in that report. Okay, I'm going to give y'all another bombshell point in the chat and see if you can handle this. All right, I know it's getting late. I'm going to give you another one in there. Here it comes. Here comes the bombshell. Let me see what you think about this one. Now, what do you think about this bombshell? Let me put some fire behind it. Mr. G said he knew about the sheep, but he did not know about the DNA. So what does that tell you? If Mr. G knew about the sheep, who else knew? Who else knew? If Mr. G knew about the sheep, and what's up? Who else knew about the sheep? Mr. G said he knew about the sheep, but he didn't know about the gag order. I showed that in my last live. Annie Ruler. Shout out to Annie Ruler. I don't know if I've been talking to you. I can't remember. I know Annie Potts. I got Annie Ruler and Annie Potts. Shout out to having two Annies. Y'all twins. Annie Potts and Annie Ruler. I got two Laura, two Annies. Shout out. I put your stuff behind you. All right. That's the shout out to Annie Ruler and Annie Potts. Okay, now check this out. Who else knew about the sheep? If Mr. G knew, it wasn't tied up under lock and key. It wasn't tied up under lock and key. And why didn't he know about the DNA? Who else knew about the sheep now? Y'all talk to me. Talk to me. All right. Shout out to Amy. Amy Conway. Agape Love. Steve G said that wounds didn't match. Exactly. And they didn't have to go upstairs. He was telling us it was more than one killer from the beginning. Shout out to Amy and Agape. Shout out to Amy and Agape. We're all on the same page right here. All right. You know, that's right. Justice A to Z. The Annies are the bomb deed. That's right. Lots of Annies, Jacks, Emmas. Sooty, stop it. Sooty, halt. Like the Gestapo. I gotta get a stop sign over here in my emojis. Halt, Sooty, halt. You worse than me. Robin, where's Robin? Robin, aren't you gonna get on Sooty? How you gonna let her get away with this? You let me get by with anything. Now, how you gonna let Sooty get away with this? It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. Who else knew about the sheep? How is this possible that Mr. G knew about the sheep before the arrest? How is this possible? Talk to me. I gave y'all I got for the night. Now I want to talk about what you want to talk about. I gave you everything I got. I made 3 big points. Now, what have we covered everything? Do we have any more points we need to cover? The floor is open. Anybody wanna talk about the discovery? Not asking specifically for pings. One made a nut. Hard truth, I'm not sure about SG knowing about the sheath, but not the DNA. Was this from an interview? It's in my live. Let me put that in there. Okay. It's in my live. It's the news report is in my last live. The YouTube video, the news report, is this in my last live? Where she said Steve, he told him he knew about the DNA, but not the sheep. I know my last live is really rough as far as audio. That's why I left out all those fancy videos and stuff and just went straight with just no audio stuff so that I won't have these problems. Because we got to be able to talk, and hang out and stuff. Check the last live. There is a video. It's a news report. I believe the news lady had on white with a pink and white beanie on her head. The news reporter. It's the last live. Oh, thank you. Shout out to Beautiful Disaster for always giving me a kind word. Shout out to Beautiful Disaster. You live. You always live. I'm going to give you a white heart. I don't give those out too much. But I'm going to give you one for that. All right. What are we talking about? It's 10:41 Eastern Standard Time. This is a deep rabbit hole and much bigger players behind what happened at 11:22, in my opinion. I agree 100%. It's much bigger players as far as the way the murder happened with these knives. Nobody went in there with a knife in 2023. Nobody went in with a gun. They went in there with knives. That takes, what you say, I don't want to be vulgar. You know what I'm saying. That takes testicles, the word for testicles. That's what it takes. All right? So you know what I'm saying on that, right? Right? All right, Amy Conway. Renee Phillips, hard truth, the couple that was arrested for that death of the Idaho College frat president, I think Emma and Demetrius. Shout out to Renee Phillips. We're going to have to investigate that some more. Because one thing about it, I don't like speculation on top of speculation. We already limited information. Okay? We need to talk about what we can prove or almost prove or somebody else proved it. We need to investigate Emma and Demetrius. Let me write that down. I keep seeing it. I need to investigate that. Let me write it down quickly. 1 minute. Okay, I'll check that out. Okay, we were supposed to check that out. All right. Steve G had a private investigator who probably had a source, chief info, Veronica Gowan. Thank you, Veronica. Shout out to Veronica. Because the chief business is really what got us all here in the first place. When you be honest, Veronica forgot about the private investigator. That's right. So that's maybe how Steve G knew about the chief. But what else does he know? And what else? I mean, if Steve G had a private investigator and he's asking for them to lift a gag order, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? He had inside information. He wanted the gag order lifted. Plus, a search warrant, they said an apartment, they're looking for knife and sheep. What's going on? Garbage, lies. All right, who is that? Amy. Shout out, Amy Conway. That's right. How is it, that you're looking for all this stuff in these people's garbage? When you got the man, you finna have the man in custody to test his DNA. You claim you got one DNA to compare it to already. The Idaho State Lab turned out to be a big lie. They didn't determine anything. While they were mixing up monkeypox cases, the sheep was being tested in Texas. And while the sheep was in Texas, Idaho State Lab was mixing up monkeypox cases. They're not even all that competent. Like they trying to talk about, the most best in the nation, blah, blah, blah. They mixed up the monkeypox. So that was enough for me to know that it's Mayberry. Idaho State Lab is Mayberry too. Now, Idaho State Forensics Lab is Mayberry too. Remember the monkeypox. Okay? Well, the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, here in Atlanta, they had to say, hey, what you found and what we found is not the same thing. Cheryl Springfield. Shout out to Cheryl Springfield. When you popped up. Okay, Cheryl said, the sheath, even if weapon is ever found, it won't fit that sheath, my opinion. Sort of like OJ's hand didn't fit the glove. Shout out to Cheryl Springfield. Okay, welcome up in here. All right, I'm not joking, Amy. They mixed up the monkeypox. I think that's on my live, not the last one, but the one before that. They mixed up the monkeypox, Idaho State Lab. And then Atlanta CDC had to call them and say, hey, you got people thinking they got monkeypox and they don't. And vice versa. Robin Lathan. Shout out to Robin. Shout out to Justice and Robin. Let me say Justice A to Z, because there's more than one Justice too. Shout out to both of y'all. These some true players right here. Justice A to Z and Robin. I'm gonna give y'all a white heart. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Justice A to Z and Robin Latham. All right. Okay, we have to investigate Emily and her boyfriend because this like the 7th time I've seen that. I'm just saying we have to. Annie Ruler, don't get me started on monkeypox, aka COVID 2.0. IMO. All right, Annie. And that's Annie Ruler. We got 2 Annies. I gotta put the last name. Where is Annie Potts? All right. Shout out to Annie Ruler. That's right. Okay. Where's Annie Potts? We heard from Annie. Oh, shucks. Don't Die 509. Shout out to Don't Die 509. What's up? What? Where you been? You been sneaking past me in the chat? Oh, snap. Shout out to Don't Die 509 for having a cool name like that. Okay, where's your post? Put it up there again. Sudi, I would love to walk in that house tomorrow. I would fly up there. That's why they're trying to tear it down. That's why they're trying to tear it down. Okay, Don't Die. Could you please put it back up there? Could you please put the post back up there, Don't Die? Okay, go back, scroll up. Okay, hold on. What color is your ID? Orange? Okay. It's all the way up here? Oh. Hold on, I'm looking. I'm gonna find it. Just give me 1 second. Please, somebody play some music or something. It's all the way at the beginning? Wow, there's a lot of comments. But it's a loud orange D. I should be able to find it. Okay, I'm scrolling through. All right, if it's here, I'll see it. You sure it posted? Okay, wait a minute. I did. Mr. Proper Motivation, Emma and Demetrius. Mr. Proper Motivation. Go back up. Hard to read my post. I don't see it. You sending me on a wild goose chase. I do not see it. And I've been through here 3 times looking for an orange D. And all I see is Annie Orange. Annie Ruler. I don't see any D's. You're going to have to repost it. Ashland has dark hair now, Cheryl. I love you, Heart Truth. Don't ever change. I love this channel so much, and I want a star, too. LOL. All right, Robin. You already spoiled. I don't know why you making demands. Cause you get your way every time. So I don't know if you really, is there any room for the star? Let me see if I can find a star. How about that? I guess it went up. Something weird is happening. Something really weird. Put me on panel. Don't die 509. How do I do that? No, where's your post? Where is your post? You can't, you sit me looking for a post that's not even on there. Say what you got to say. Post it. Post what you got to say in the chat. And stop sending us running around looking for something that's not in here. Amy Conway. Car in Oregon was in landlord's what? Okay, this so dirty and it ain't Brian. Okay, Amy Conway, you said car in Oregon was in landlord's L.I. What is that? Mr. Proper Motivation. Let me write that down. Okay, we got, let me find my paper. Let me find my paper. Just hold on a second. We got Mr. Proper, Emma, and Demetrius. Okay, so that's two things we're going to investigate. All right. Yeah, Amy, we still trying to, okay, don't dive. If you posted it, it shouldn't be a problem for you to post it again. I looked 2 or 3 times. I didn't see it. Demetrius Robertson. Let me write his last name. I looked for it twice. I did. And I didn't see it. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did look. I'm trying to figure out what Amy is talking about. Demetrius Robinson, not Robertson. Do I have the right? It's Robertson. It's Robinson. Okay, it's just Robinson or Robertson. Maybe we could look at both of them. All right. Now I'm gonna grab something cold to drink. Hopefully, y'all. I forgot to tell you to get your coffee or your tea. Who got a pimp? Oh Lord. Okay, this is the gossip hour right here. Okay, I'm getting ready to take about 1 minute to go get some ice for my Coke. I have a Diet Coke here, and I'm gonna put a little bit more ice in it, and I'll be right back. Anybody need to use the bathroom or whatever, this is a great time. All right, all right, all right, I got it. All right, where are we in this? Landlord connected with Oregon Elantra. Yay, finally. Glad you are here. All right, who we got here? What's going on? What's going on? What y'all got? All right. LOL, I watched that too. I didn't really see anything suspicious. All right. I don't know. I don't have a lot of information about Emma and Demetrius, and I don't have a lot of information about the Oregon Elantra, except that somebody left it wrecked pretty much, and you know it's a problem. They said that it didn't have anything to do with it. I think that this was too organized for somebody to just have to rush away and wreck in another state. I think if they were gonna wreck, it would have been right there a few miles away from the house. Okay, by the time they got from Idaho to Oregon, they wasn't all that nervous no more. All right, Dim friends with Couch family. That's how she came to live at 1122, and freshmen in sororities and frats are required to live at frat. How did Dim live off campus? Agape, let me read that again. Dim friends with Couch family. That's how she came to live at 1122, and freshmen in sororities and frats are required to live at frat. How did she live? Oh, how did Dim get to live at the house in the first place? What you saying? Okay, does anybody know? Because I don't. I haven't a clue. Don't start me to line. Anybody know? Was Dim really a freshman? Kaylee had the right idea. Going home, never should have gone back to the weekend. Shout out to Agape. Shout out to Agape. Because she already had moved on, hadn't she? She had her ducks in a row. She had her truck, and it was time to move on. But she looked back. Like Lot's wife in the Bible looked back and turned to stone. Kaylee was gone. Kaylee was, I don't know what she was doing for money, but she had her act together. She was going to Texas. She was going to Europe. Right. That's right. That's right. That's what I heard, AZ. Yes, Veronica never heard those two guys again. All right. Well, the floor is open. I made my points. Anybody got any questions for me? Anybody have any questions? I remember, and one arrested was purple-haired ID college employee, if I remember right, Annie Ruler. Just Amber, Veronica, do you know names or anything seems worth looking into? Right, that's true. Yes, and then let me put my email in here in case you do come up with information. Some of it doesn't belong in my posts, in the posts under my videos. If it's information that would make a good video or a good chat talking point, please email it to me. Please don't send it post it in the discussions. I'm gonna put my email in here in case you don't go to my community page. Okay, here's my email. Hopefully you can see it. It's the hard truth subtalk@gmail.com. And if you have information, please email it to me. Loving you, Hard Truth. Thank you so much for your channel. Thank you, chat. You're all awesome humans. All right. Much love, Agape. Much love. I'm getting ready to let you good people hang out for a bit. I mean, if you still socializing, it's no reason for me to close the chat. But I'm getting ready to bow out. And I'm going to close it down in about 10 minutes. All right? 10 minutes. 10 minutes to talk to your friends and socialize and get out your last minute comments. All right? Okay, who had a good attitude? Who had a good attitude, Sudie? Who, Amy Conway? Who had a good attitude? I can't picture Hard Truth watching JB kill. What you mean JB kill? Beautiful. All right, good night, beautiful. As always, much love. Much love. Let me give you a good night. A soldier. Elskin and J. White Grimm Boise. Veronica. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, JB Gunner. Now listen, let me tell you about JB. I like JB because, be honest with you, he straight up call it like he sees it. I mean, that's all you can do. Okay, much love, Justice A to Z. As always, I try to get over there to your channel as much as I can. Sometimes this past week I didn't have a lot of time, but I did catch on a couple of them. All right, so thank you so much for coming. All right, but all right, which video was that, Justice? Can you post the name of it? Whatever, you say you did a video about a few days. Can you post the title? All right, Sudie. Shout out to Sudie for tripping. Okay, shout out to Sudie for tripping. All right, you get an explosion for that. JB, he calls it like he sees it, but his language is very rough. And so I sit through, my grandma used to tell me you have to pick the sense from the nonsense. I mean, he might be saying a whole bucket of stuff that I'd rather not hear. Be honest with you, the language and all the little extra stuff. But then there's some things in there where he just telling the straight up truth. So I have to pick the sense from the nonsense. Okay, that's my grandma told me. She used to tell me you have to pick the sense from the nonsense. And so I just sit through all of the profanity and the oral sex comments and all of that. You know how JB is. I mean, that's him. I'm not judging him by any means. But once he get past all of that and he gives his opinion of the case, it's what he believes. It's what he truly believes. Not something he's selling you. And so I got respect for that. I got respect for that. Anytime I watch a YouTuber and they're telling you how they really see it, no matter what that might be, whether it's agreeable or not, and it's not some big fantasy or the latest deal of the day. What they call it? They're not selling you the deal of the day. Whether it's somebody snitching or this or that or the other. Okay, they might mention it, but they're not selling that to you. I got respect for that. And so I watched JB, depending on the title, his only is true crime. I haven't visited his other channels ever. I know he mentions that he has several. I think he has a gaming channel, but I've never been to those. The only one I've watched is the crime. And like I said, for me, because other people, I mean, they people that talk like that, it's no problem because they all talk like that. But I don't talk like that. So it's kind of rough for me to listen to JB. I'll just pick through all of that and get out what, if I feel like he getting ready to drop something that gonna have me thinking, I pick through all of that. I pick through all of that and go on and get what he had to say about it. All right? But it's a rough ride for me to go in there and listen. Just because I don't talk like that. And I don't have people around me. When I was younger I did. Okay? But today, who I am today, now that I don't talk like that anymore. And so I want to be around it because if I listen to that too much, I'll be talking like that again. Because that's what I hear every day. Right? So I don't want to go back to talking like that. So I love JB Gunner. If he wasn't speaking the truth, I wouldn't watch him at all because it's so rough. But I do check out JB sometimes because even though it's rough, I mean, it is what it is. If it's tight, it might be tight, but it's right. So long as he's speaking about what he really think happened in these cases, I can get a real opinion to compare with my own. I'll watch anybody like that. But if you selling me some mess somebody sold you, I mean, come on now. No, so that's my take on the JB Gunner show. Next, right? I don't knock any YouTubers because not only do they have their own style, everybody, but they have their own audience. Because I mean, his audience probably don't even. I mean, his audience probably can't. We can't relate to each other. My personal audience and his personal audience, we couldn't mix too much. We might check each other out, but we couldn't mix. And so I say that to say I don't disrespect no YouTuber, any of them, because we all got platforms and we all just trying to say it's a free country. You supposed to be able to say whatever you want, right? You're supposed to be able to express yourself. Okay, so it's a free country. Just if I'm on a YouTube channel crime and I think it's a bunch of bull crap, you know what I do? I turn to another video. I ain't gotta let them know how I feel one way or the other. They say if you can't say nothing nice, that's what my grandma told me. If you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. So if I go on a YouTube crime channel and I think it's a bunch of bull, I just watch something else. I just stop it and go to another video. I don't diss them because that's their right to put it out there like that. It's a free country. They can put it out there however they want to. Just because I didn't like it. Hey, you might not like a lot of what I say, and that's probably just gonna get worse. So I can't judge nobody else. We all out here YouTubing. Nobody better or worse than nobody else. We all just doing it different. All right, variety is the spice of life. I mean, if you're a complex thinker and you like a mix of different things, you probably need to subscribe to 3 or 4 different vibes, just for your mind and for you to be satisfied, because you think about a lot of different things. So you're gonna want things from a different angle. You're gonna want some variety, right? So it's no use in trying to stop people from looking over here, over there. Why? You know how many people it is on YouTube? You know? And if somebody constantly disagreeing with you, you shouldn't want them on your channel anyway. Because you're going to be fighting uphill every time you step in the door. If they disagree, hey, fine. Go find somebody that's talking about it in the way that you agree with. If you have to agree with everything. I mean, I don't learn anything much from the people around me in my life. I'm not talking about online. I'm talking about in real life. I don't get much from the people that think and look exactly like me and everything. I don't get much from them because there's nothing to compare what I already am to. Because, I mean, we all just alike. We all like the same thing. I want to look in the mirror. You know, I want to be able to see myself against something else. You know, so I can make some assessment, you know, self-assessment or whatever. You know, I just gain a new perspective on something. But you know, it's Thursday night. It's after 11 o'clock, and y'all talking about Jake and Boise and somebody. All right, Scott 2296. You got real quiet, Scott. But oh, who is that? 32 to 63 miles per hour. Shout out to Scott and 3263. Shout out to both of you. Okay. Scott and who did I say? 3263. All right. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate it. I'm not sure about 32, but I'm just saying, you know, thank you. All right. All right. Justice posted something up there. That's the title of the video she was talking about. You might be interested in it, you know. Maybe, maybe not, but it's there. It's enough views out here. You know how many things you can view in one day? You know, it doesn't hurt to look at different stuff. Now let's see what else we got here. Ethan was a second-year freshman. We thank you, Hard Truth. All right, shout out Sudi. Because I said I was going to shut it down at 11:10. All right. I see you, Sudi. All right, Robin said, I met for the first time permanently. I'm sure it was hard for them, Agape. All right, y'all doing your thing. But I'm going to have to close this up in about 10 minutes. All right, I'm signing off. And I'm going to give y'all about 10 minutes to say goodbye and sign off. All right? Somebody said, good point, girl. You're right, Sudi. All right, shout out to Sudi. I just gave you a shout out. I got to give you another one. It was Scott, 32 and 63. So I'm giving a shout out to who? Sudi. All right. There you go, Sudi. For getting our thinking cap on, for putting our thinking caps on for us. Let me get him off of here. Remind everybody to like and subscribe for a few minutes. See if I can get this up here. All right, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. The more the merrier. Ask somebody to subscribe. Just one person. If everybody just asks one person to subscribe, we'll have a whole bigger community. We don't have to have one. Don't get me wrong. If this is it, if we're gonna stay at whatever we are, 8 or whatever, we're gonna stay there. That's fine too. All right, but as long as people still join every day, we must not be through. That's what I say. But I'm just saying, like, share, subscribe. I'm supposed to say that at the beginning and the end. That's what somebody told me. And then, like I said, if you would like to donate, that would be on the information is on my community page. And thank you so much for coming out and spending time. Thank you so much for the time, the communication, the ideas, the suggestions for next time. Thank you so much just for the good company. All right. Thank you so much for sharing time, you know, sharing with me right now. Have you checked out Speak Van Holden? I do like Submouth. Yeah, well, I have to comment on him on another time. We're done doing shout outs for right now. 2 nights, live, replacing Friday's live. Anyone? Okay, that's true. Does anybody, you would rather have the live on Friday? She brought up, well, shout out to Robin. Anybody that would rather have the live on Friday, could you just put Friday in the chat? So I'll know, I can look and see who would rather have it on Friday. If you rather have the live on Friday, please put Friday in the chat. All right, check that out. If you would rather have the live on Fridays, please type Friday. If you'd rather have it on Thursday, please type Thursday. If you'd rather have it on Friday, just type the word Friday. And then if you'd rather have it on Thursday, type Thursday. 32 to 63 miles per hour. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let me give you another shout out for being new in here. I appreciate it. Let us know if it's I don't want to be sexist and say it's a man because of MPH, but let us know who you know, how to address you. Stephanie Elisa Anderson. I think I might be just catching your posts. All right. Shout out to Stephanie. God bless you. All right. All right. Who said every day? Well, hey, we'll get there to where I can do more of them. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. We're going to get there. All we got to do is stick together and keep rising to the top. All right. My chat rate slowed down. And so it's after 11 o'clock. I'm going to end the stream here. I want to say thank you so much for spending this time. A great deep dive discussion on the hottest case we have so far. Probably will have for a minute. Okay, if there's any other topics or things, I do get suggestions, but I have to make the time for those videos on the side of Idaho for. And so I have to be selective because I don't have a lot of time to do them. So when I do, you know, I want to be something people want, if somebody wants to hear about it. All right. Okay. Shout out to Leah Story, and Sudi. And 32 to 62. The 63. Shout out. Robin. All right, who I got here? Leah, Sudi, 32 to 63, MPH, and Robin. Okay, that's 3 hearts. 3 people. 4 people. I need another heart. There we go. That's my last shout out for the night. All right. Wendy. All right. All right. I got you, Wendy. Hey, shout out to 32 again. 32 to 60. Y'all say welcome and stuff if you don't know them. Maybe I'm the only one think it's a new sub or something. But shout out to you. All right. I said that was my last lie. I told a lie. I repent of that. This is my last post right here. All right. Love you guys. Much, 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 much love. Night, night.